Good evening, everyone. I hope y'all are doing great. And I'm coming to you today from Mahogany Bay in Belize, in San Pedro, Belize. And we have Michelle. She's coming to you from Placencia, Belize. And just briefly, just wanted to welcome everyone this evening. Tell you a little bit about myself, originally from Charleston, South Carolina. Moved here about 10 plus years ago. I've been coming to Belize for over 15 years and have the brokerage in Placencia, Hopkins. And I live part-time in San Pedro and part-time in Placencia. And my story is in a book called Don't Quit, Stories of Persistent Courage and Faith. And two lucky winners will get this book. Lisa Haisha, she's a TV host. She was a co-author on this book and over 40 more people. So I'll give two people that book. One person was supposed to email questions and they'll win it. And then we have whoever answers a poll, we'll put you in a drawing because we have some polls tonight to help us get better. And we'll pull a drawing for that. So again, my story's in that book. So if you would like to read about it, how I came to Belize and my story as a fireman and all that, read that book. Tonight, though, we have a very special guest. Her name's Michelle Sharpe, and she is a good friend of mine, and she started out as a client. And so much so here, it's not uncommon for you to get friends with your clients. And what Michelle and her husband did is, they reached out to me looking for a piece of property. I showed them some property. We became very good friends. And eventually we just started to work together. So she's my broker manager in my Placencia office. And we also have a team together where we sell real estate. Nothing's for sale here tonight. This is strictly educational. If you're interested in Belize and interested in buying property, definitely you can reach out to us and we'll be happy to help you no matter where you're looking. And so anyways, I wanted Michelle to tell a little bit about her story, how she came to Belize, and then we'll open it up to you all for some question and answers. And we have some people that sent in some questions and we'll answer those as well if there's no more questions by y'all or from y'all. So Michelle, take it away.
Well, thanks, David. Welcome, everybody, and thanks for joining in on the call, or Zoom call. So a little bit about my story. Some of you that are on the call actually may already know a bit of my story, as you may know me from our life in Canada, now being Belize, and followed our story online. Most importantly, married for over 30 years. With two amazing daughters, one in the UK, one back in Canada still. And Ed and I began 10 years ago searching for, what are we going to do after the kids are gone and they've gone to college and we just don't want the snow anymore. So we both had careers. Ed was an electronic technologist at Canon, also a landlord, so he had a whole bunch of properties. I was a vice president for a very large virtual tour company, so I got the pleasure of dealing with real estate people since the age of basically 17. So I love you all, real estate people. And so in 2016, we said, let's start looking. We came to Belize on a vacation. Prior to that, of course, we reached out to a few realtors, and you really need to connect with somebody. And that's what happened with David immediately. He was right there, immediately connecting with me. And he wanted to know my story. He wasn't pushing his story or telling me what was available. He really wanted to know what we were looking for. Because when we first came, we didn't know what we were looking for. And boy, after we left, we sure did. So in the very next year, we went back to Canada. We sold everything, literally, everything in a truck and a trailer, and drove to Fort Lauderdale, put the truck and the trailer on a ship, put our butts over here into a rental, and then we said, that's it, David, find us something. Hurry it up, will you? So it was really fun. Now we have beginning stages of our little resort here called Cabanas, which basically just means Jessica, Julia, Ed, Michelle. It's our family thing. We had that in Canada as well. We have 3 little cabanas right here on the Caribbean Sea. Eventually, we're going to build a pool as well and a main house. So, working with David and the crew and the team here, it's like a whole different world. I still pinch myself every day.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a beautiful lot that she bought, and it never gets old looking at the Caribbean. I constantly do the same thing. I've been here 10 plus years. Constantly, when I go eat, I just stare at the vast, lagoons and things like that. So anyway, so she's experienced it, right? She's done it. I've done it. So our job is not to sell you anything. Our job is to educate you, because it's different buying property here, but it's still similar. So we want to open it up to you all. If you have any questions, throw it in the question and answer box. And, if nobody has any questions right now, then we'll go on. We had some questions asked already. Again, this is my 3rd webinar, and we've answered some questions already. We'll briefly answer them all, but we went in detail in quite a few other ones. So, we might not push you, but we might, recommend you go back to one of the other webinars, but we're going to try to get through all of them today. So don't be shy.
You've got a couple of chats there, David, in the chat window. I have my glasses on, so I can't see them.
Yeah, that's just to put question and answers in the question and answer box. So while y'all are here is one. Hey, Alex, can you tell us a little bit about banking in Belize? Yeah, banking in Belize. Wow, that is a good question. It's harder now more than ever, because of the money laundering rules and all that the United States have placed on the world. And so it's not easy to open a bank account by any means. You're not going to walk into a bank and just think you're going to walk out like in the States. I'm going to Dallas next week. As soon as I walk in Wells Fargo, I'll probably open up 2 accounts and change some things around and walk out, be totally done. Here, it's going to take you 6 months. I know some people, Michelle, it took you, what, a year?
Well, no, you're not even allowed to get a bank account until you've lived here a year.
Correct.
You can prove that you're viable. Then you go through the application process, and you need to have 2 signed reference letters from your own country. And it took a while, but you know what? It had one at Scotiabank when we first opened, and then I moved over into Atlantic only because it was closer over to home. And so far, so good. And plus, if you're on the QRP program, it can happen a lot faster for certain people. Ed and I didn't go that route. We were going permanent residency. So we did have the bank account after the first year.
And I think you can, but you have to go through a process of getting, central bank approval. You have to get a lot of approvals in order to open an account. It's one of the struggles we have when clients are building a house. They buy a lot and build a house. They're having, such a hard time paying their contractors. We tend to do that for clients as well. It's just a service that we would offer our clients. We can't just accept money into our accounts. We have to go through a contract. We have to have everybody sign it, and they want to know why, we're sending it, because you definitely don't want to send X amount of money to a contractor all at once. But you also don't want to be dinged with the exchange rates, and you don't want to be dinged with the all the wire fees. So good question, Alex. Somebody asked about healthcare. And so a little bit about healthcare is Belize is a emerging country, and we have pretty decent healthcare. It's not great, but it's in my opinion, it's more than adequate. We have a couple government hospitals throughout the country, and we have a lot of private hospitals throughout the country. And compared to North America, well, in Canada, it's free healthcare, right, Michelle?
I wouldn't say it's free, but
well, you pay for it in taxes.
Yeah.
But you know, in the U.S., for all my North U.S. people, you know what I'm talking about. And here, like, we just had my wife and my baby. We just had a baby, and it was like 5,500 Belize to have a C-section in a private hospital. All the doctors, you know. So to me, that was pretty reasonable. So, but you can get everything here that you want. And also just across the border in Mexico, Merida is a very, very high-end, very knowledgeable doctors, and people travel all over the world to go to Merida. And you also have Guatemala. And there's also insurance out there that you could buy that gives you medical insurance for Belize, Guatemala, Mexico, and you could even go back to the States if you will. You know, it would pay like a 80-20 or something like that, you know, and it's not too expensive. Last time I checked, it was like 6,000 Belize for the year for me and my wife. So that's kind of a little bit about healthcare. Doctor's visits, if you go to a private doctor, it'd be probably about 65 Belize dollars. And that's seeing the doctor, spending time with you, and making sure all your questions are answered. And normally the meds come, you know, kind of with that. So it's really reasonable to go to a doctor here. What about the cost? Randall asked, what about the cost to obtain legal residency, not the QRP and time frame? Michelle, you want to answer that one?
Sure. Ours took a little bit longer only because we were opening a limited company as well. So I had to have all that paperwork done before I could do the permanent residency. But we got in just before the prices went up. So now it's you have to have lived here for 1 full year without leaving more than 14 consecutive days in that year. You can actually start applying at month 10, and I didn't know that, so I waited the full year. And it's quite a bit of paperwork, I will admit. It's definitely a lot of paperwork. You can do it yourself, or you can hire a facilitator who will help you do it. I think that varies anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 fees, with his 100 US and 50 US. Cost now is $4,000 Belize per person, gain permanent residency. And that means you no longer have to go every month for your tourist visa stamp. Before we had that, we had to go every month, and then it was only 50 fees a month. Now it's 200.
200 a month now.
100 Belize, so 100 US per person per month. Some of the immigration offices are doing a 3-month stamp for expats who have lived here some time, and especially those who own property, land or homes. You kind of get through the system more when you have land title. It shows your investment. But a new one now called, and I have to look it up, and I'll try and get that out to you, David. It's the temporary investor, or prior to permanent residency. You can get in even faster if you're an investor, and investing over 250,000 US.
Yeah, they're not really. We're trying to get them to put that back in play. I've not known of anybody that has used that, but it's definitely something we definitely want to get back in play, and we're trying to push that with legislation and the government. So it also depends on, for us, you know, North Americans, it's that 4,000, but could be cheaper or it could be more expensive depending on where you're from. So you definitely want to check immigration, their website, and they'll tell you how much it is. And there's some miscellaneous fees in there, like you have to get your police record. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. And you have to have a physical, get your eyes checked, things like that. So your HIV test, your, I think it's a tetanus shot or a tetanus test for HIV.
No, it's just the HIV and the medical.
And the medical. So it's been a while since I've had all mine done. So because I've been a citizen now for about 2 years. And then before that was 5 years since I went through it. So we did kind of the last Q&A, we did go through all those fees, but again, you could look it up on the immigration website, and it has all the fees for you.
Belize being a Commonwealth country, seems that those of us from Canada, the UK, other Commonwealth countries have maybe a little bit of an easier time. However, a good friend of ours just got his permanent residency, and he's a US fella. So really, they just got to follow the paperwork and be respectful and be kind, all the rules and regulations, and don't complain about them. So.
Yeah, and it does take time. I mean, I know of one guy, he had it in like 6 weeks, and I've never heard of that. I think it took me over a year, or right at a year. My citizenship took me like 3 years, 4 years, but I kind of dropped the ball, and there was a piece missing. So you definitely want to call them and check in on it. They'll give you a number that you can check in. And again, like Michelle said, just be friendly. I always kind of maybe bring them a little snack or a little drink or Coke or whatever. And they, they always love that. And you always get, when you treat people nice, you get treated nice back. So thanks, Randall, for that. Alex, any news on the new international airport in Placencia or San Pedro? No, not really. The international airport is actually, they're landing planes there now for the regional services, because our airport in Placencia is being repaved. We're getting lights added. It's one of the last airports to get the civil aviation upgrades, if you will. So they are landing planes on there now. So we definitely covered that last time, but basically it's a private airport. So once it opens up, it will be for just private jets, regional travel, cargo, things like that. It's going to take probably, the runway is done for the most part, has lights there, but it needs that final coat. And that final coat is what costs a lot of money, because it has to be a continuous pour. And it's a very long runway. So again, it needs, I mean, I hear estimates of about $12 to $18 million to finish it. And then it needs about $22 to $30 million to make it a true FAA international airport. But due to a lot of the public scandals that have gone on, there's some people that have been arrested just recently on that. So it's going to be a while, I think. We don't even talk about it anymore. I personally feel there's enough on the ground to get it done eventually, but until things change a little bit, I don't think it'll get done soon. Personally, the one in San Pedro, I think that was more of a political speech than anything. I don't think there'll be one anytime soon out there. And if it is, it'll probably be regional as well, or for private planes. So definitely, we'll keep you in the loop on that as soon as we hear some. Sandy, what is the real estate market like in Belize? And how has COVID affected tourism prices and rentals? Anyway, thanks again, Alex, for that question. Sandy, good question as well. Michelle, do you want to answer any of that, or you want me to take it?
Well, you go ahead and take the real estate. I'll take the tourism.
Okay. So real estate market in Belize has been better than I expected. We are selling. I know I've talked to, RE/MAX Caribbean and Central America, and we're about 88% of where we were last year. And last year was a fantastic year. So we're down a little bit, but we're not down more than 25%. I know my office and my coworkers' offices, they're selling, and we're selling. We, we sold a lot of stuff before COVID that has closed during COVID. And then there's a lot of lots like in Secret Beach and San Pedro. Mahogany Bay has some lots. I had some mini farms that we were subdividing, and we sold all those sight unseen. People just wanted a what Simon Black calls a plan B or a bolt hole, so to speak. So they wanted, with everything going on in the U.S., they wanted a change, or an option. So we're not seeing the market down. And if we look at what happened in 2008, the market didn't go down in 2008 in Belize either. We did have some sales in 2008, 2010, where people's circumstances changed and they had to sell. But all in all, prices stayed the same. Rentals are pretty much, in my opinion, about the same. There's some more stringent rules and regulations that the BTB, the Belize Tourism Board, has put on a lot of hotels. And I'm seeing a lot of people going to long-term rentals instead of short-term rentals. But we still have a lot of rentals. I know I have a small resort in Hopkins, and we were full up until COVID. Mahogany Bay, the Hilton, they were full. We had over 400 people in house there. So it's definitely, pretty good. And COVID, I mean, our hotels the airports were closed. Our borders are still closed. The only thing that's open is the international airport. So we're allowed to take tourists as of October 1st. So you wanted to add anything? I think I kind of took your thunder on that, Michelle.
Well, that's all right, David. Yeah, no, COVID definitely shut us down when it came to tourism and our economy, basically, as a country. I mean, that is the mainstay of how the Belizean people, our neighbors, the people that we love here, make a living. So it's been a really, really tough on our people here. So I know, David, you did as much you could, keeping all of our office staff going, busy. And construction workers finally got back into work. So now we've got people building, which is awesome. But tourism is hot here. Once COVID is all gone, and you got to get your order in for a vacation, because the good spots, they book up really fast.
Yeah, they do. And we, for a country, we don't have that many cases. I think we're just over 4,000 cases since COVID started. We've had about 62 deaths, I believe. So for a country, it's not that much. We did have a surge, not because of tourism, just because people partying and just people are tired of being cooped up, and so we had a surge, and we're having a little surge right now. But it's just something we have to live with right now, just like in the U.S., North America, the world. We have to live with it for a while. But we want y'all, we miss y'all. It's about 40%, 30% of our GDP is tourism. But as a country, we realized that we can survive with a lockdown. We grew our own food, our chicken, our beef, and all that, so people were out of work, but the government was helping where they could. So thanks for that. Steve, are there Christian churches to attend and their volunteer opportunities? Love that question. Christian churches, yes, there's a lot of non-denominational churches. There's the normal churches that you would see anywhere, Catholic, Protestant, Seventh-day Adventist, Jehovah's Witnesses, Mormons, and a bunch of non-denominational churches. Places to volunteer, definitely. I'm one of the board members of the Placencia Humane Society, and so we're always looking for volunteers. All the humane societies are looking for volunteers. We have Rotary, that's always looking for volunteers. And schools, I know people that volunteer in schools. So there's definitely, I feel you could stay as busy as you want here, or you can stay as relaxed as you want here. So good question, Steve. Alex, a bit about the process to buy a car. Ooh, that's a good one. I actually wrote a report on that not too long ago. There are no lemon laws here. So majority of the cars that come here, they are salvage vehicles. So you definitely want to pick your car kind of like you pick your real estate agent. You know, you want to make sure that, go ahead and get a Carfax report. I personally buy certified used vehicles from the dealer. I just bought a 2018 Nissan Kick, which is a small SUV, and I paid 55,000 Belize for that, and it's got 34,000 kilometers on it, and you know, a new one would probably be in the $70,000-$80,000. But there's a lot of people bringing cars over. Some of them are not too bad, right? You want to just you just want to find out what it is, because you don't want to be buying a car that has, you know, 12 airbags and then you're actually buying and it has none, because that's the most expensive part to, you know, to replace. But if it's being fixed right, and I'm not saying there's no good quality used cars, I'm just saying you just have to do your due diligence, like with anything. Or you bring a car, you buy a car in the States, and ship it over. It's about $1,500 to bring a car over on Cayo Cargo. You definitely want to use a broker, a customs broker, and help you with the paperwork, and you'll pay the duty on it unless you're coming on the QRP. If you come on the QRP, if it's 3 or 4 years or newer, you can bring it duty free, or you can buy a car here, a new car here that's duty free. It just depends on, you know, what you're doing. It's pretty much about like the US. I also bought a 2013 diesel, 4-door diesel truck, and that was, I paid like 55 for that, 65 for that, and that was like 2 years old when I bought it. Again, it was a certified, I use Bravo Motors, but there's a Toyota dealer here, there's a Ford dealer here, and like each of the dealerships sell multiple brands. So like the Bravo Motors sells Isuzu, Nissan, Suzuki, Jeep. The Ford dealer does Ford. And then there's some other, you know, there's some Chinese cars that come in that Caribbean Motors deals with. They deal with Volkswagen, things like that. And then the buying process is, again, is pretty much the same. If you're buying a used car, you just want to check it out, you know, have a mechanic look at it, because there's really no disclosure laws. Hopefully they will disclose where it's been wrecked or whatever. But hopefully that answers your question. Steve, are there restrictions on the year car you can bring into the country? No, there's not. You are going to pay dearly for a large SUV. Bravo Motors just got in the Infiniti Q45, and they're like over 300,000 Belize dollars because the duty's like 56%, but they are sweet. Normally you see those with government officials that get it duty free. But you can bring in a, you know, 70s, 80s, you know, I mean, there's a guy that brought in a Model T or a Model A. So it's what, early 1900s. And he brought that in. So that's in Belize City right now because they're trying to sell it, because I think the rust will get to that one way bad. But Michelle, you brought in your vehicle, right? What, y'all brought in a truck, right?
We brought in a Nissan Tier, new, 2017. We paid dearly on the duty, and that's because when we first were coming over, we had already applied for the QRP program, and I see a question there from QRP, Qualified Retirement Program. And at the time that we applied for the QRP, we thought we could open a business and yet still be on QRP, but sadly I was mistaken. So we had to pay all the duty to bring our truck and our trailer over. So for us, it was worth it. It was a brand new vehicle, no smooth vehicle. That's what he's had for years. There's not a lot of mechanics here. There really isn't. There's not a lot of choices. So you kind of have to make sure that you either have a good friend who knows what they're doing, or you drive up to Belmapon or Belize City to one of the dealerships. So,
and the dealers are not too bad, you know, price wise. But definitely, you know, like what we are is we are we want to collapse timeframes. So what took me 10 years to find out, 15 years to find out, we want to collapse that time frame for you. So that's something we can help. Let your agent know who you're working with, what kind of car you're bringing in, because you don't want to bring in something like a Saab and you won't be able to get parts for it. So you definitely want to double check things like that. There's no BMW plants here, or you could go to Mexico to get it worked on, or like Michelle said, we can find a mechanic here. So all right, so Sue, no, I think I missed a couple. International airport, real estate market, we answered. Christian churches. I missed out on the first 5 minutes. Would you provide a brief overview of starting a small business? All right, Sue. Michelle, you want to take that one?
Sure. So starting a small business, I mean, for me, it was the tourism sector, so the hotel, restaurant. So that's really what I can speak to. Opening a bar or a restaurant is a little bit different. There's different licensing. But you have to, I used a facilitator, which I didn't have to. I could have figured it all out myself. It really wasn't that much money. I think it was 1,000 Belize, so 500 US. Have somebody who absolutely knows what she's doing, registered my limited Chapter 250 company here in Belize under our names. And she did the whole memorandum of associates, a really funky stamp, which was really cool. And she took care of everything. Now, every year, as we go forward, for me, there'll be the BTB license, which is the hotel license. So anytime somebody comes to stay at Gem Cabanas, they're going to have to pay the 9% hotel tax on top of our rate, which I just hold on to, and then I give it monthly to the Belize Tourism Board as a hotel tax. And that's just another way for the economy to run here. So really, it's not that difficult. Also, there's a lot of businesses that are already incorporated or limited. So if you're going to buy, say a small restaurant on the sidewalk, you can buy their company that's already registered. Even some of the homes are registered under limited companies or vacation homes, and you can buy them that way and just have it transferred. Right, David? I'm working on
the BTB license don't transfer. A lot of the liquor license don't transfer. But if you're buying an existing business, there's a lot of incubation periods that people will start business, incubate them, grow them, and then sell them. So you could definitely do that. And you just want to put in there that, they help you with the process, on what it takes to, for you to get your license and things like that. You definitely have to have a work permit. You just can't come here and work, and like you couldn't come here and become a bartender, or you can't come here and be a dive instructor. What you can do is you can open a bar and hire bartenders, or you can start a dive company and hire dive masters. And then once you live in here and you're a resident or a citizen, you can kind of do whatever you want. But you still want to provide jobs. That's kind of what the government wants is for us to come here and provide jobs for the locals. I think that's really it on that one.
One thing I could add, David, is it was your advice when we were doing my limited company. Told me to make sure I was very open with the description and operating. So thus, real estate development, real estate in general, tourism, hotel, and that when I went to get our work permits, we got the work permits because we were doing stuff here on our own resort. Also, it fell into my REMAX work permit because I had it in the company already registered. So.
Yep. Very good. Yeah. Because if you say that you're coming here and you want to open up a photography business, that's fine. You can do that. You can set up a company, open a photography business, but then if you want to start selling real estate, you have to get another company. Whereas if you do like what Michelle said, list everything, from A to Z, and then that's a lot easier. So hopefully we answered that question. Andrea, are the fees and police check, etc., only for those applying for permanent residence or citizenship, or those requirements for tourists. No, yeah, it's just for permanent residents and citizenship. You have to do all that. So pretty much the process that, and the QRP, the process that Michelle went through to get her residency is pretty much the same process. She's going to have to do it over again for citizenship after, you know, she's been a resident for 5 years. Another, Andrea, are there any incentives from the government for Belize to create jobs for Belize citizens? Yes. There's Beltrade is out there and they're always willing to help. I have like 4 or 5 businesses that we're in discussions with to do some manufacturing and things like that. And they're definitely willing to help with that. The government will provide incentives as far as duty incentives and things like that. When you're doing a business plan, you have to put every single thing down that you're asking for. So if you go to Beltrade and you get those incentive packages for no duty, and let's say you want to start a hotel in Placencia or San Pedro or wherever in Belize, and you want to now offer golf carts, but you didn't put golf carts on your business plan or incentive plan, then you have to pay the duty on that. So you definitely want to, and they definitely like to see that you've paid duty already and that you're willing to pay some duty before you put in the incentive plan. Lauren, can I bring a parasail and an airplane? Ooh, I like the airplane one. The airplane is on my, yeah. The
only on
airplane
QRP you can.
Yeah, the QRP you can bring it in duty free. That's on my dream board is an airplane. So you just have to pay duty if you're not on the QRP, which is fine for me.
And some place to keep it.
Yeah, there's so many nice places, like I could drive back or I could fly back from San Pedro to Placencia if I had an airplane without having to, drive or go with tropics. So you can definitely do that. Parasail, there is a parasail in San Pedro already. So you can definitely do that. There's not one in Placencia. There is one on the island. Harvest Key, I think, is where the cruise ships go, and there is one there. But there's not one in, just in Placencia. There's not one in none of the other water areas. But the one in San Pedro, I see it pretty often. So can you work remotely from Belize? Do you know if that is allowed? And what are, you can work from Belize remotely. So if you are, we get a lot of remote people already. And they do taxes, they do consulting work, accountants. Definitely you can work. You don't have to pay no taxes in Belize. But consult with your tax person in the country you're from. Like when I make money in Remax or from my my development company, any money I make, I have to report it in the U.S. being a U.S. citizen. But you can work remotely. If you're on the QRP, you cannot work. You can own a property, you can own a hotel, but you cannot run it. You used to could manage it and hire, get people hired, but now you have to actually hire somebody to run it for you who will do the hiring and stuff. What is property availability like in the front range of the mountain region of Stan Creek? Is it all National Reserve? All the mountains are National Reserve, yes, to my knowledge. Not saying that there's none available. There is some hilly property available as far as, citrus farms and things like that have a little bit of hills, but like the peaks and those areas are national lands. So if we know of one, it normally goes pretty fast because that's kind of what people are looking for, is to see the ocean, from the mountains. You have anything to add on that, Michelle? No?
Nope.
Okay. Andrea, I'm a general contractor and would like to start a construction company here. How would I go about getting licensed? So again, you have to get your work permit and do just kind of like what Michelle's husband's doing. get your work permit and just start. You can, apply for your GST license, apply for your tax license, and then you can start. It's pretty simple. A lot of people do that. A lot of people come here and they'll be a GC, but they'll hire the locals to build it. So you can do that as well. So it's 7:41. So we want to thank Yolanda for being our back end, and she's going to throw up a poll because again, this is my third or fourth one, and I want to be better at doing this for y'all. So there's one on what topics you like that would most interest you. What days of the week do you want to attend these webinars, and the time of day? That's kind of what I'm playing with right now. So if y'all can do that, and then we'll go back to answering some more questions. But if y'all can fill that out for me so I can learn better what's best for you, because again, I'm putting this on to help, all of y'all to educate you on what it takes to buy property here, develop here, build here, move here, live here, whatever. So take a few minutes, and again, we'll do a drawing for that. The winner would be Don't Quit. It's the foreword written by Mark Victor Hansen, who did Chicken Soup for the Soul, for the entrepreneurial soul. My good friend Kyle Wilson is in this book as well. He was Jim Rohn's business partner, and he has a lot of interesting background. So there's a lot of people in there that talk about how they stuck with it. They didn't quit. And so I'd love to give you that book for free. I'll mail it to you this weekend when I get to Dallas. And when I'm back, I'll just mail it from here. But since I'm heading to Dallas, so take a second to do the poll, and then we'll go ahead. Lauren's asking, can I do medical volunteer work? Lauren, that is a excellent question. And honestly, I'm not 100% sure on that answer. I'm gonna say no, unless you get like I have a client, a very good client that he's a doctor and he wants to do volunteer work here, and the government said no because they feel like it's going to take work from another doctor. So you can definitely do medical mission work here. We have a lot of missionaries that come here and do missionary work. There's a different process for that. We bring there's Doctors Without Borders that come here. We do vets will come here as well, and we help them with that process to get a temporary permit. But to live here and to start a what do you call it? To start a volunteer work, I don't think so. I'll double check that, and next week or next month, I just want to say December 8th is the next question and answer. I'll have an answer for you on that one because I don't want to tell you yes or no, but I tend to think that's no without getting the proper approvals. Do I have to be a permanent resident in order to start a business here? You do not. You can get a work permit just like Michelle did. She's not a permanent resident yet.
Yes, I am.
You just got.
We got the company and the work permits before we had permanent residency. So
yes. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, but you definitely don't need to be a permanent resident to start a business.
No.
You can get your work permit, get your company set up, and then I have I have agents that don't have a company, and then I have to help them fill out the work permit process.
Forms, right.
And we can do that, and if it's another company as well. So, Sandy, do you expect the tourism flights to fully return in January? Flights are quite sparse at the moment. Yeah. I honestly don't expect it to go fully in January. A lot of it, like our Canadian friends, even though the flights are pretty cheap at the moment. I talked to a guy 2 weeks ago from Canada. It was like less than $300 round trip with United from Toronto to Belize. But he can't afford to come here, not because of the flight, but because he has a 2-week quarantine when he goes back. So I think, WestJet has definitely canceled. WestJet and Air Canada have canceled, majority of their flights. They're going to Cancun, so you could go to Cancun and then from Cancun come to Belize. But I don't expect. I think it's going to take at least 6 months or so to get back to normal. 2011 was our high, all-time high. 2011 was our all-time high as far as tourism, and in 2019 we were 96% higher all those years. So this is going to be the first year that we've been declined in tourism because of COVID. But we're definitely hearing a lot of people are coming. I was at Ramon's last night or 2 nights ago for dinner, and there was like 12 tables. So it's definitely, I see the tourists are coming, and especially now that they don't have to stay at a resort, they can kind of come with a negative PSR test and move around. I think they're doing good. Is it possible to drive to Belize from the US? It is. I know people do that. It's definitely safe if you just drive during the day. I know people that put it online on some of the forms, and they kind of tell you where to start, where to stop, and this is the hotel you stay at, and they've kind of made it, and so you can definitely do it. I think it'd be a pretty trip. I know several people that have done it. A friend of mine in Vancouver, we own a boat together, and he's a client. He bought a condo from me in Coco Plum. He drove from Vancouver all the way to Placencia last year, and brought in a new vehicle down for him, or a newer vehicle for him. So definitely, he had no problems. He had a good time, saw the country, and had a great time. Yes, it is a long flight, Sandy, from Toronto. Another friend of mine is moving down here, and he leaves tomorrow or Sunday, I think. And it's going to be about that. He goes to Houston and then stay the night and then come. Did Hurricane Eta affect Belize? Yeah, we had like 25 inches of rain in a matter of 5 days. So I was surprised when I was in Placencia last week, visiting my animals and my house in Placencia, and did some work meeting with Michelle and the agents. And when I got to Belize City, I was shocked that it was not flooded. But driving because I drive from Placencia to Belize City, I leave my truck at Bravo Motors, and then I take the boat or I fly over. And
I definitely need some rubber boots.
Yes,
that happens again.
You need some rubber boots.
Just out there was tough.
It is. I had probably
2 days of sunshine and it's gone.
Gone. I had 2-3 inches of rain underneath my house. My house in San Pedro, probably like 4 or 5 inches in one side. But we had one bridge or one little landslide on the Hummingbird Highway. They cleaned that up. The Roaring Creek Bridge was underwater, and they had to take people over in a dozer. And there was a lot of houses that were flooded. Belize City is starting to see some flooding now. So it kind of went in the mountains, and now it's kind of moving down to Belize City. So yeah, it was like, that's the rumors I heard, 25 inches of rain over the 5 days. Probably in the north got a little bit more, and maybe a little less in some areas.
I think the hurricane that we had prior to Eta, I don't remember what it was called, months back.
Yes, I don't remember the name of that.
It was more for wind. It scared the crap out of me. I swear, we got 6 feet of new sand on our beach from that one hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
So that one worked out really nicely.
Yeah, and the one from this one, I think, brought some sand too, right?
Yes, we had our beach done the other day. Oh, it looks amazing.
So I saw a picture of Barefoot. They had they were underwater on their chairs, and then the next day you saw that the sand was all the way up. So definitely got some beach there. So guys, at 7:50, we have 10 more minutes to answer some questions. If there are no others, Yolanda can type in ones that were sent via email. I think a lot of them were answered already, but Yolanda, are there any others?
I see one for crime rate, David.
I didn't see that.
Where do you want to stay away from?
Nope. Okay. So yeah, crime's a good question. I know I answered that one quite often. So crime, if you look at per capita, crime in Belize is horrible, because we're 400,000 people. But if you look at, I think last year we had 120 murders. And so if you look at the statistics, majority of that was drug, gang, and domestic. We do like to drink here. And when we mix alcohol and fights, you kind of, get some domestic disputes, and they kind of end up bad. You definitely know where to go. It's a small country, right? You know who the dealers are. You know where to go, where not to go. A lot of people say stay away from Belize City. I like Belize City. They have some very good stores. There's some places in Belize City that I would not go. But when I do go to Belize City, I do carry. So I do have a permit to carry, and I do carry when I'm in Belize City. And when I travel between areas where there's no cell service and things like that, not that I ever need it, not that I ever felt unsafe, but I do go into some backwoods areas looking at property for my personal portfolio and for clients. What's the average price of building a lot in Placencia? The average price of a building lot in Placencia. We have some in the 20,000 range that need some fill. And then we have 55,000, give or take. Then there's some in the 120 range. So we have something for every budget. Secret Beach is kind of where we've been selling a lot of in San Pedro. They're in the 35 range. They do developer financing. Coco Plum, we have a lot of nice lots in there that are in the 139, I think. Michelle, 139, developer financing for that. Yeah. What would you say are the up and coming areas in Belize? Are there expats everywhere? Yeah, there actually are expats everywhere. You can find expats pretty much throughout the whole country. It just depends on where you want to go. I think you need to visit everywhere and you'll get a feel for it. My baby is Placencia. I feel at home. As soon as I got there the first time 15 years ago, I knew that's where I was going to live, but I still went to every other company. Now I get the best of both worlds. I get to live in San Pedro and Belize or Placencia. And so, I'd say Hopkins is a good up and coming area. Placencia is a good up and coming area. And there's still a ton of land available in San Pedro in the north and the south. Cayo, because of COVID, Cayo has just, we've been selling a lot of mini ranches out there and things like that. So there's really, it's all the property in Belize is pretty much an up and coming area and is undervalued compared to other areas. Gun laws in Belize. You can own a firearm in Belize if you have a permit. You can get one. I don't know of anybody that is not a resident, but I do know that you can get one as a non-resident. You pay dearly for it. You can't have anything bigger than a 9mm, and you can't have anything larger than a 12 gauge, I think, a 12 gauge shotgun or a 10, yeah, 12 gauge, rifle. So everything else is pretty much okay. You can't have more than 200 rounds a year, I think is what they do. And you do have to renew that license every year. And there's strict gun laws. So if you have over, like when I get a new set of, if I get bullets, I count my bullets. If I have over 200, I donate whatever's over 200 to the police department because you don't want to go over 200 and you go to jail for each bullet. You want to register that gun. because if you have an unlicensed gun, you go to jail for that. So it's very strict gun laws. You just can't get one. But there are a lot of, if you have a hunting law, you can have a hunting license if you want to go hunting. I have the special protection license where I can carry anywhere I go. But there are some for hunting, just for hunting. And there's also some heirloom permits. So if you have an heirloom gun that you want to bring over and display it, there's some heirloom guns as well. And if you go to my website, my development website, it's CaribbeanCapitalGroup.com. I wrote a lot of articles about that because I have a lot of mainly Americans that want to know about guns and gun laws. Is it hard to get building materials? Does everything have to be imported? You want to answer that one?
Yeah, sure. No, I'm pleasantly surprised. Everything we have bought locally. That's, it's our choice. The only thing that we did imported was the insulation, interior of the cabanas, because we wanted the fire resistant, the waterproof, the R factor. So that's the only thing that we had imported, and it went really well. I use a company called US Trade. You send them a link to anything, and they just do everything and send it on over. So no, we've does find some of the plumbing, different things, and some of the electrical. It's not what he's used to. It's not like a Home Depot. You have to do a bit more shopping to find what you really want. But he's out of Belize City, Midwest, in Spanish Lookout, where the Mennonites are. We've done really well with building supplies, so no problem there.
Yeah, we have concrete and sand. Pretty much everything else is imported, and we have wood too, of course. If you want to look up Mahogany Bay Village, majority 80 to 90%, no, 90% of everything in Mahogany Bay is sourced in country. So very few of it was brought in. But you will notice that your materials will cost you more here because everything is imported. So definitely now you can get so much nicer material than when I first moved here. Benny's and there's so many cool stores that they're not, our Home Depot. I mean, Home Depot, you have to go to Cheddar Mall and then bring it over or whatever. But there's so many cool places that you can bring in some pretty cool stuff, or you could bring it in and just pay the duty on it. In Placencia, there is no street addresses. How does that work? Yeah. Basically, you just have to describe where you're at and where you live. For mail, it's general delivery. That's pretty much throughout the whole country, unless you have a P.O. box or something like that. So my address is David Kafka, Placencia Village, Stand Creek District, Belize.
Central America.
Central America, yeah. And you don't want to put CA because then it's going to go to California. So definitely want to put it in. Yeah, it works, right? It's everything in Belize is simple, So eventually, I know for like myself, my house in Placencia, I use my own street sign as the legal description, and we have a street name called Easy Street. So it's instead of block 36 parcel 869, I just say 869 Easy Street. Pretty much locals know where you're going and where you're at for deliveries. So
they'll find you. And mail, you just go down to the little post office, you find it, and you just go in and ask if you have any mail.
Yep.
They'll go through the little boxes. It's just very unique.
Yep, for sure.
And it's very exciting when you get mail.
That's right. That's right.
It's not a bill. It's usually like a card or something.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Sandy asked the bandwidth and internet. When you were in Hopkins a couple years ago, it was very spotty and not working. Internet has gotten like ridiculously good now. BTL has fiber optics pretty much throughout most of the country. Hopkins has it. We have fiber optics at my office in Hopkins. We have fiber optics in Placencia. So it's good. I mean, you can get, prices are coming down now. When I first moved here, it was like $300-400 for a meg per second, you know, or half a meg per second. Now you can get, I think I get 16 meg or 15 meg for like 90 Belize or something like that. But you can go all the way up to 40, 50 meg. You can even get, you know, bigger packages if you want. And so it's definitely
the smallest package for 79 Belize.
Yep.
And here I am, a Zoom call. I've
exactly
loads of images, videos. That might take a little longer, but we watch Netflix. It's actually better. Internet here is better than what I had in Canada.
I hear that. I hear that a lot, that we have better internet than, you know, other people. So
some areas, yeah.
So some are, yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for reaching out. We had some pretty good attendance and some wonderful questions. This will be, we'll do some post production on it, and then it'll go on our YouTube channel. So you can refer back to it. If you missed some in the beginning, you can go back to it. And again, remember December 8th, tell everybody about it if you felt this was valuable. If there's any way we can make it better, let me know. We'll probably have another, I kind of like this with Michelle. The first two were just me answering questions, and I kind of liked, you know, having Michelle on there. We'll probably bring on somebody else, maybe an American or you know, a government official or something like that. We'll figure it out. But I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Yolanda, for working our back end and making this, you know, all good. And everybody have a great night, and see you in paradise soon so we can have a mojito.